So there's a time when franchising almost felt like buying yourself a job a little bit, right? And now we have these savvy investors really pouring money into this space. So talk a little bit more about that, Mike. Like, what are you seeing right now with your clients?
Yeah, I have a lot of big clients that are, heavy into real estate. And that's where most of my clients have most of their assets. And that used to be where the wealthy put stuff. Now they're putting into, franchises, especially service brands that are less capital intensive. Still, they give you a little bit of like a passive or a semi-absentee investment strategy. So same as you kind of got from real estate, but really recession-proof. If it's mold, gutters, roofs, stuff that has to get fixed every single time. And sometimes the customer's not even paying for it, it's insurance money. So they're able to see smoother curves versus this up and down that you see with real estate, and it just kind of, protects their assets a little bit more.
Interesting. So Ryan, you have quite a few different assets, diversification of your portfolio, and you've got a fair amount of money in franchising, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I've always loved investing into franchises.
Good. So what was your methodology for that? Why'd you choose that?
Well, I got a piece of advice a long time ago, or at least a saying that said concentration creates wealth and diversification preserves it. So your example before about how it used to be like buying a job, it was back when we thought franchising had to be your concentration, right? You had to focus on it all the time. You built it as much as you could. Your sale price was then the retirement funds that you used. Well, it's shifted. Now, franchising can be part of a diversification strategy. So more money's coming in, more sophisticated buyers are coming in. So why is it possible for that to be part of the diversification strategy? Because you have more resources from franchisors, you have manager-led franchise opportunities, right? And why do we diversify? To reduce risk. So somebody that's already created wealth, why do you invest into large cap, small cap, domestic, international stocks? Diversification. Why do we have some that are deferred, pre-tax, post-tax, different products, right? All of this is about diversifying. So I would encourage investors that are looking to diversify wealth that's already created, put a piece of it into franchising. Maybe there's more risk than some of the others, but you also control more of the outcome. It keeps you plugged into an industry that can quickly show you an opportunity that nobody else knows about. Yep. So for that savvy investor, somebody that has a team, somebody that wants to diversify, franchising absolutely should be a piece of that portfolio.
Go back to that. You just said something right there. Has a team. I know we hit on this a lot, but let's talk about that. To be a true investment, you have to have a team, right? Talk on that real quick.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole point. If you don't have a team and you have to do it yourself, then you're probably in the wealth creation phase of your life, right? That's fine. Go own a franchise, run it yourself, start at one, grow it to more. We call that moving from a single unit to an empire builder. I've got a whole philosophy on that. But that's not what we're talking about. Right now, I'm talking about diversification of your portfolio. And that's not usually going to be you in there, right? I sit down all the time and have coffee with my friends. And the question that we always get is, what's the hot new brand? And I always say, you're asking the wrong question. The question that you should be asking yourself is, who's going to run that brand for me? And so, yes, I mean, for those folks that are in there running their businesses today, I would encourage them to go find those people that are highly skilled and that they can trust to eventually one day diversify.
Perfect. Just want to check that box off because I don't want people to feel like they can just flip a switch and turn this thing on. It's going to print money. It's not how it works, right? So we got that checked off. You said something else too. The tools the franchisors give, like how do you run this thing semi-absentee or as an investment? So Mike, maybe talk more on like the tools that these franchisors have.
Yeah. A lot of it is sophistication in unsophisticated industries. You take an industry like gutters or something where that guy might hang a really mean gutter and he's great at it. And he doesn't know how to answer the phone or run a website or any of that kind of stuff. So a franchise that is an actual business model can come in, you can learn the skill from them, but you have marketing support, that kind of stuff. And what I love about it is if you're self-aware enough to know what you love to do and what you really suck at, you can find a franchise that fits hand in hand with it, right? For me, I'm not good at marketing. So I buy brands that are great at marketing and I do the operations, which is what I like, or I put an operations guy in there. So knowing what tools you need and what you want to handle and marrying them together fits really well in franchising.
Real good, real good. So talk to me more like an investment, a true investment. There's got to be a return on that investment, right? So like, how do you determine that? Or like work me through that process for a little bit.
Yeah. Why should somebody consider this as an investment, right? So here's how I look at it. And, if I am going to invest $1 into a business, I want to make sure that it's got at least a certain amount of revenue, a certain amount of profits, and then I want to look at the profits back to the amount that I invested, right? What's that correlation? Right. Money in versus money returned.
Yep.
Okay. And so let's just use an example of a business a franchise that costs $300,000 to open. So if it costs $300,000 to open, I believe that I should be able to produce 2-to-1 sales to dollars investment. So $300,000 invested, I want to see $600,000 in sales. So I'm going to look at the item 19. I'm going to see if I can find something like that. Then I want to see at a minimum a 15% return after I pay my manager. Remember, this is an investment. This isn't me creating wealth. It's me diversifying wealth. So let's say I pay a manager and I want to see 15% on my $600,000. That's going to be $90,000,
yep.
Right? And so you're saying, okay, well, $90,000, why is that a good return? Because if I had to originally invest $300,000, well, I probably put 60 to 90 down as my down payment, right? Because the rest is borrowed. So I put 60 to 90 down as my down payment. I'm now creating 90 of cash out of that business with a manager leading the day-to-day. So minimal investment on my part, right? So I'm talking about a scenario where I'm returning for every dollar of cash I put in, $1 in return, right? What a great scenario. And I've almost created it. I don't want to call it a mutual fund because mutual funds are truly are passive. I don't even want to make that connection, but I do want to make the connection of this is not something that I'm putting full-time effort into. It's something that's get minimal amount of my time to make that return. And now let's take it a step further.
Let's go. This is the good stuff.
This is where it gets really good.
Let's go.
Right? And so maybe there's equipment in that business that I can depreciate through Section 179 or bonus depreciation. And so now that $90,000, let's say I bought a $50,000 piece of equipment to go open a second territory. My $90,000 just went down to $40,000 that I now only have to pay tax on that $40,000. Yet my profits are still $90,000. Now let's say I'm tired of the business. Right? I don't want to operate this business anymore. And let's just assume I'm still only running one territory, which the reality is if it's working, I'm probably buying 2, 3, 4 territories, right? But let's just use that one territory example. I'm tired of the business and I want to sell it. Well, now I get to go sell it for a 3 or 4X. So now I'm making $270,000 to $360,000 on that investment. And I'm probably selling it back to one of the existing franchisees that are already sitting there that want to buy the business, right? I mean, when you just compound all of that on top of each other, that sounds pretty appealing compared to asking my financial advisor to just go invest into a mutual fund or something like that.
Incredible. And what we didn't talk about is that $60,000 on the front end. Where can that come from? It can come from your 401k if you want to, right?
Yes.
So you can take your 401k money tax-free and do that first $60,000. Mm-hmm. You've already got the money. Most people do in a W-2 job.
Yeah, and it's why it's important that you work with an advisor who connects you to an expert both on the funding side and on find the right franchise, because people on their own may not understand all the resources available to them to unlock things like that as a down payment or to find the franchise that meets the minimum criteria as a manager-led or an owner-led business. And so that's what we can help do.
Yeah, there's 4,000 franchise concepts in America right now. I mean, There's so many, which is good and bad because there's something to fit everybody. However, there's a lot of things to siphon through. That's why you need that person by our side, on the other side.
Absolutely.